My childhood friend died during a difficult childbirth, entrusting her child to me just before she passed away. Winnie, you're the person I trust most. Please take care of my child. After she died, I went through countless hardships while raising the child. After 18 years of tireless effort and sacrifice, I successfully raised my adopted son to become the top scorer in the national college entrance exams. On the day of the celebration banquet for the college admission results, my childhood best friend brought my childhood sweetheart back. Winnie, I never expected you to raise my sons so well. Congratulations. I hereby crown you the best childhood friend. My childhood sweetheart wrapped his arm around her shoulder and looked down at me condescendingly. Winnie, Sarah is the daughter of the wealthiest family. Now, we're taking our child back to acknowledge his roots. Consider this 30,000 as your compensation. My adopted son also wore a look of arrogance and said, I always knew a prodigy like me couldn't possibly have a mother like you. I was so angry that I vomited blood on the spot and died. After being reborn, I immediately sent the child to the orphanage. In the hospital, my childhood friend Sarah lay on the delivery bed, her face deathly pale. She gripped my hand tightly and said, Winnie, I'm not going to make it. I trust you to take care of the child. Her strength was great. And she squeezed my hand until it hurt. The pain brought me back to my senses. Looking at the familiar surroundings, I instantly realized that I had been reborn. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, the midwife beside me glanced at me and said, Your friend is almost at her limit. Can you say something? And you call yourself childhood friends? I looked at Sarah. Her face and neck were clearly two different shades. In my previous life, I panicked and agreed without thinking. This time, I won't be that foolish. Sarah, what are you talking about? I'm still a student myself. How could I have the energy to take care of him? What about his biological father? You got pregnant before marriage. That bastard can't just not take responsibility. It's a pity, but I can't raise him either. This child, why not send him to an orphanage? Otherwise, as an unmarried female student with a child of unknown origin, people will call him a fatherless bastard. 3 consecutive blows made Sarah raise her voice on the spot. Who dares to insult my child? And there's still you. I withdrew my hand and crossed my arms. You sound full of energy, hardly like someone on the verge of death. Sarah finally snapped back to reality and resumed her extremely weak state. The midwife shot me a glare and said, You go out first. We need to clean her up. Without another word, she pushed me out. I'm not stupid enough to spend my precious 18 years raising an ungrateful person for her. I had just stepped out when the midwife tried to shove the baby into my arms. I immediately raised my hands high and yelled, Hey, don't try to pin this on me. Don't try to pin this on me. If the child falls and dies, you'll be responsible. She was furious. How can you be so heartless? The child's mother is already dead. Who else should take the child but you? Here is the mother's will. You were her most trusted person, so the child is entrusted to you. In my days, she shoved the child into my arms and tried to leave. I grabbed her and said, What about the body? I have to take it with me. We must see the person alive or the body dead. The midwife's face turned pale. The mother was very noble-minded and donated her body. Where is the donation certificate? I need to see it. Who knows if your hospital is being negligent and sold the mother's organs? Besides, it was just giving birth. My childhood friend was strong and healthy. How could she possibly die from childbirth complications? As soon as I shouted, all the family members waiting outside for the expectant mother gathered around. What happened? Did the mother die? Then will my wife be safe giving birth today? Doctor, what exactly is going on? You need to explain clearly. Even if it's a donation, family members should be able to see the body, right? She got angry, never expecting that I wouldn't be easy to fool. Immediately, her willow leaf eyebrows shot up, and she turned around to pull out the donation agreement. This is it. The child's mother knew she wouldn't make it, so she signed it in advance. By now, the body has already been taken to the medical university for anatomical teaching. Is that so? Well, you can say that to the police. I don't want to be deceived. After all, who can really be sure about something like a donation? As soon as the words were spoken, the police arrived, and the midwife immediately turned pale. She doesn't really think I'm that easy to talk to, does she? You actually called the police? I sneered. How novel. As you said, this is an orphan. Even if I were to adopt, I'd have to go through the proper procedures. Don't you even understand that? How many children have you given away before? You're making unfounded accusations. She's panicking. But whether she's making false accusations will be determined by the police. After learning what happened, the police reviewed the donation agreement and other documents. It must be said that Sarah was truly well prepared. Not only were all these documents authentic, but she had also managed to obtain the acceptance procedures from the medical university. The midwife then looked at me with disdain and said, "Now you believe it, don't you? You thought we were frauds. It's really unfortunate for the mother to have a childhood friend like you." I snorted coldly. "Encountering a hospital like yours, where giving birth leads to death, is just downright cursed. You." She was so angry she rolled her eyes, and I also made a note of her name. After coming out, I got into the police car with the child in my arms. 18 years later, on the day the college entrance exam results were released, my son Jack became the top scorer in the province. I specially hosted a banquet, and many people came, including many unfamiliar faces. When Jack was giving his speech on stage, he specifically mentioned me. "Without my mom, I wouldn't be where I am today. My success is all thanks to my teacher's guidance and my mother's care." Well said. At that moment, someone in the audience shouted loudly, and everyone turned their heads in unison to look at the uninvited man and woman. Squinting at the newcomers, I immediately let out a cold laugh. "Sarah. Kevin, I've been waiting for you for so long." The two walked straight over and saw Jack on the stage, their eyes brimming with tears of excitement. "Who are you, Jack?" "This is your biological mother," Kevin said, supporting Sarah as they stepped forward. "What did you say?" Jack froze. Everyone was shocked and looked at me in unison. As the top scholar's mother, I now sat in the main seat, facing Sarah and her companion, completely unfazed. "This isn't the way to ride on someone's coattails." Sarah stared at me triumphantly, then declared loudly, "Winnie, don't you remember me? Back then, I gave birth to a child and entrusted him to you. Thank you. Thank you for raising my child so well." She came over to shake my hand, but I slapped it away. "Where did this crazy woman come from? Stop making things up. My son's excellence is indeed the result of my careful nurturing. But it's also thanks to his natural talent." "What does that have to do with you?" Kevin looked at me. "Winnie, don't you recognize her? This is Sarah. The three of us grew up together, and this child is hers." I laughed. "I remember Sarah died in childbirth right after having the baby." "Yes, but I wasn't meant to die. Someone saved me. I went away to recuperate, and now I've come back to claim my son." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. At that time, the midwife was right there. She can testify. "But you called my son a fatherless bastard, and I begged you for so long." Hearing this, everyone looked at me. I didn't realize Winnie could be so cold-blooded. "What are you talking about? Raising a child is a huge responsibility. How could anyone agree to it so easily?" She was in a life-or-death situation back then, and they've been separated from their own flesh and blood for so many years. What's wrong with reclaiming the child now? Seeing public opinion leaning in her favor, Sarah immediately pretended to be magnanimous. "Winnie, I know you're upset. Consider this 30,000 yuan as compensation from me. Please don't think it's too little. After all, I'm not exactly living an easy life either." Seeing her act like this, I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh, while Jack said in a deep voice, "I'm not your son. You've mistaken me for someone else." The next second, Sarah produced a paternity test document. I had the midwife do this for me back then. I was worried that something unexpected might happen, so I took precautions. "Jack, your mother had no other choice. You became the top scholar, and I am happy for you, but you can't deny me. I really am your biological mother." I let out a scornful laugh. "That's really strange. At the time, I didn't believe you were dead, but the hospital showed me your death certificate and the proof of your body donation to the medical university. I even caused a scene at the hospital and reported it to the police. Under the witness of the police, it was confirmed that all those documents were genuine." "Sarah, you told me you were sent to the medical university as a cadaver for anatomy classes, and yet you came back completely intact. This is truly a miracle. Either the proof is fake, and the police and hospital are both in on it, or the proof is real, and the current Sarah is an imposter." She froze instantly. "You. What did you say?" "Call the police." I presented the evidence. Back then, I had a lot of trouble with the hospital, and I kept all the proof. I snapped my fingers, and the evidence from that time immediately appeared on the big screen. Sarah was stunned, never expecting that I had kept it for nearly 20 years, having lived a second life. How could I let her lead me by the nose? The evidence is conclusive, and everyone is dumbfounded. How could something like this still happen? Coming back to life after death, a medical miracle? No, what medical miracle? This is clearly fake. If the person is real, then can death certificates be issued so casually? Who knows how many people have been forced to die? Isn't this a black-hearted hospital? If the proof is fake, then she faked her death. She dared to give the child to someone else to raise while she went off to enjoy herself. And now she shows up to take credit when the time is right. How shameless. Sarah immediately became anxious. That's not how it is. I was in a daze at that time and really had no vital signs. I exposed her again, giving birth in a proper tertiary hospital and ending up dead. Besides the midwife, I didn't even see a doctor. The midwife was in contact with me the whole time, and she didn't even realize whether you were really dead or faking it. She even issued a death certificate. But then you came back to life at the medical university. Not to mention the doubts about your identity. Even if you are Sarah, don't you think this is ridiculous? Didn't the medical university give any feedback? Didn't the hospital contact me, or the police? Didn't it occur to you at the time to ask your son? Stop talking nonsense. No matter who's lying between you and the hospital today, I won't give you our son. Sarah was so scolded by me that her face turned pale and then flushed. She was completely stunned and hurriedly stepped forward. Do you think the money is too little? But our son's excellence comes from his father's and my good genes. You've only been feeding him. Besides, putting aside all those documents and proofs, can't you really recognize me? Even if you don't believe me, can't you trust Kevin? Kevin chimed in from the side. Winnie, I know you're reluctant, but for the child's future, you can't stop Jack from acknowledging her. Sarah is a young lady from the Taylor family, the Taylors from the provincial capital, with a net worth of hundreds of billions. Sam is her father. If Jack goes back, he'll be Sam's grandson, with an incredibly bright future ahead. Sarah nodded repeatedly. Yes, I know you're upset, but we've been separated for so many years, and I've missed him all along. I finally mustered the courage to come today. Don't worry. I won't erase the efforts you've made in the past. I spread my hands helplessly. Sarah, I've told you, putting all that aside, he really isn't your son. How could that be? You only have this one child. If he's not my son, then who else could he be? He is my son, my own biological son, Winnie's son. Sarah was stunned, her face darkening. Then she laughed and said, Winnie, don't joke with me. You said before that you're a marriage-free advocate. Besides, you have a son with you. Who would dare marry you? Stop messing around and give the child back to me. She then looked at Jack and said, Jack, you've topped the provincial exams. Mom will take you back to the provincial capital. When your grandfather sees you, he'll surely hold you in high regard. That way, we, mother and son, will have endless wealth and honor in the Taylor family. Jack took a step back, rolled his eyes at her, and said, This lady, if you're sick in the head, go get it treated. My father is a well-known entrepreneur. And my mother is the head of a famous educational institution. Although our family can't compare to the Taylor family in the provincial capital, we certainly don't have to worry about food and clothing. I myself am the top scorer in the province, with a bright future ahead of me. Why would I need your wealth and status? Besides, I'm not even your son. Sarah was somewhat annoyed. Winnie, what kind of spell have you cast on him? He's so protective of you. I laughed inwardly. He's my own son. Of course he would stand up for me. I looked at her and declared with conviction, Who doesn't know that I, Winnie, gave birth to my son Jack? This is my husband, Harry. I am indeed a believer in staying single, but when fate comes, you just can't resist it. At that moment, Harry strode over and put his arm around my shoulder. In my previous life, after I died, this matter also caused quite a stir. Some say that ungrateful wretch wronged me, using the Taylor family's influence, and even wanted to scatter my ashes into the sea. It was Harry who stepped forward with the Chamber of Commerce, retrieved my ashes, and arranged for my burial. At that time, I was just a lowly clerk in the Chamber of Commerce and had met Harry a few times because of the bidding matter. I never expected that after my death, it would be him who stepped up to help me. Later, the Taylor family even suppressed Harry, and he never set foot in the provincial capital again for the rest of his life. In this second life, after sending that child to the orphanage, I went straight to find Harry, fought alongside him, quickly got married, and became pregnant. Jack stood by my side, with the two men flanking me protectively. See, he's the spitting image of me. I'm the head of a well-known teacher training institution, and Harry is the head of a local company. We've raised our son well. Since childhood, he's been the model child everyone talks about, and people have watched him grow up all along. Tell me, what on earth made you think he was your son? Not to mention, this is my own biological son, whom I carried for 10 months. Of course he wouldn't recognize someone else as his mother. I took out the photos of my pregnancy from my phone, along with the evidence of my hospital stay for childbirth. Seeing this, she was instantly stunned. staggering back a few steps in disbelief, then immediately stepped forward. That's impossible. I clearly gave my son to you. Even if you had a child yourself, it couldn't have been that fast. How could he possibly be taking the college entrance exam this year? The crowd also started discussing. That's right, a child takes 10 months to be born. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be possible for them to take the college entrance exam so soon. At the very least, they're a year younger. This can't really be Sarah's son. Hearing this, Sarah said triumphantly, Winnie, no matter how much you calculate, you still got it wrong. A child's age doesn't change. Jack, you are my child. That's right. She stepped forward and took Jack's hand. Mom has prepared a gift for you, a single-family villa. Don't worry, once you acknowledge your roots, Mom definitely won't treat you poorly. Winnie is just an institution head, after all. Although Harry's parent company has some money, its scale is definitely no match for Taylor's family. How about it, Jack? Come with Mom. Jack couldn't hold back any longer and took out his ID card to show her. Take a good look, ma'am. I'm 16 this year. Most people go to college following the usual path, but my mom said I was smart. I skipped 2 grades in elementary school and was the youngest in my class, so I can't possibly be your son, unless you managed to get pregnant and give birth 2 years after you died. Hearing this, everyone burst into laughter, and Jack's elementary school teacher also stepped forward. Yes, back then, Jack was indeed the youngest in the class. His classmates have all been taking good care of him. I've watched him grow up every step of the way. How could there be any mistake? Jack is the son of our president Shwe. Since he was little, he's been running around the institution and even sat in on our lectures. Sarah stared at the ID card, completely stunned, meeting my smile. She immediately broke down. It can't be, Winnie, you're lying to me. Did you switch the son? Tell me. Kevin also chimed in from the side. Winnie, you're going too far. You can't refuse to return someone else's child just because you're jealous. It's clear that you and that man are in cahoots, deceiving everyone. This is all fake. The ID card is fake too. Even now, he still doesn't believe it and even claims that all my evidence is fabricated. I couldn't help but laugh in disbelief. Do you think I'm like you, specializing in making fake documents? Seeing that I didn't seem to be lying, Sarah immediately begged me, Winnie, please, give me back my son. She grabbed Jack and said, please persuade your mom to give the child back to me. You see, you and I are actually quite similar, right? Jack pushed her away in a sudden burst of anger. I told you my mother is Winnie, not you. Stop trying to claim me as your son. I was raised by my mom since I was a child. And I'm not interested in anyone else. If you want to find your son, go to the police. Sarah snapped back. That's right, call the police. Winnie, I entrusted my son to you, and if you don't return a child to me now, I won't let you off. Her shrill voice pierced my eardrums, and I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't want to argue with her any longer. I rolled my eyes. You should first prove that you are the Sarah who died back then. If you were the Sarah from back then, the medical university would be missing a body. So who is the cadaver teacher now? People can go missing, but bodies cannot be unaccounted for, especially when it comes to cadaver teachers. If the medical university doesn't receive it, this matter could be either minor or major. There is a whole chain of industries behind this that must be exposed. In her previous life, Sarah bribed the midwife just to dump this child on me, while she hid away, fresh and radiant, living a good life. She watched from the shadows, seeing me burn myself out to raise her son into a successful person. Unfortunately, bad genes are just bad genes. That ungrateful wretch, after becoming the top scholar, threw himself into Sarah's arms without hesitation, calling her mom and treating me like an enemy. Now, I wouldn't be that foolish. Just as Sarah was about to call the police, Kevin stopped her. We can't call the police. The two of them locked eyes. And Sarah quickly understood. It seemed she was well aware of the illicit activities behind it all. Of course, she didn't dare, but I dare. In front of them, I dialed the police number. Hello, Officer James, this is Winnie. There's a woman claiming to be Sarah from back then, here to demand the child. Could you please come over? At the same time, I asked my assistant to bring the child from the orphanage. Hearing me mention the orphanage, Sarah exploded. What did you say? An orphanage? You sent my son to an orphanage? Yes, I sent him to the orphanage right away, and I've been keeping an eye on him all these years. He should be graduating from technical school this year, but of course, he can't compare to our Jack. His abilities are just a bit lacking, killing the heart along with the person. My words made her break down instantly. Winnie, you bitch, you actually let my son stay in an orphanage. What should I do? back then, I was also this student. How could I marry someone while carrying a child? In my previous life, I listened to her and brought this child home. Unfortunately, the neighbors gossiped endlessly, and my parents cut ties with me. They insisted that I had been indiscreet and given birth to a child, claiming I was abandoned by the man and stubbornly brought the child back. No matter how much I tried to explain, no one believed me, and I couldn't find anyone to marry. When the other party heard that I was working alone and raising a son, they immediately shook their heads and were unwilling to accept me. Occasionally, those willing to marry me were either older widowers or lifelong bachelors. And they even demanded that I leave my child with my parents. My parents wouldn't even acknowledge me, let alone the child. I raised my adopted son all by myself. No matter how difficult or exhausting it was, I silently swallowed my tears. At that time, I was thinking, Sarah entrusted this heavy responsibility to me before she died, and I must not let her down. Even in the afterlife, I could face her. On the day the child got into university, Sarah appeared before me, dressed elegantly. My first thought wasn't that she had deceived me, but that she was still alive. How wonderful! When I tried to introduce my adopted son to her, the child harshly pushed me aside, his face full of disgust. Your hands are so rough with calluses. Don't pull me, it hurts. Later, Sarah told me she wasn't dead and thanked me for raising her child, offering me tens of thousands of yuan as compensation. I felt humiliated. My adopted son also said I was unworthy of being his mother. It was only then that I realized it was all part of their scheme. Sarah didn't want a stain on her life, so she deliberately left the child with me. She knew I had a strong sense of responsibility and valued loyalty, and that I would raise the child well. That's why she showed up at the last moment to take credit. So I was reborn into this life, and as soon as I had the child, I took him to the orphanage. What loyalty and righteousness! All I want is a clear conscience. I won't take on what I shouldn't be responsible for. Sarah was so angry that she rushed forward to grab me, but Jack pushed her aside. How dare you touch my mom? Just you try moving. Kevin also wanted to step forward, but when he met Harry's gaze, he immediately backed down. Not long after, the police arrived, and the assistant also brought Sarah's son over. He was thin and small, looking exactly like Sarah. See that? That's your son, Bruce. Bruce saw me approaching and timidly said, Auntie. I had volunteered at the orphanage before, so I was no stranger to Bruce. In my previous life, with my full support, Bruce grew up to be quite presentable. In this life, I left him in an orphanage to be raised by the government. As long as he doesn't go hungry, that's enough. If he wants to become successful like in his previous life, he'll have to work hard himself. I nodded and pointed at Sarah, saying to him, this should be your biological mother. And also the young lady of the Taylor family in the provincial capital. Sarah immediately protested. What did you say, should be? I spread my hands and said, because your identity is still uncertain right now. Who knows if you're the same Sarah from back then? I had my assistant bring along all my evidence as well, which has been kept perfectly intact all these years. Officer James was the police officer at the hospital back then. And it was he who suggested I send the child to the orphanage. When Sarah died back then, I took the death certificate to the police station and had all her identification documents cancelled. Now, who can prove that you're the original Sarah? Hearing this, she pointed at me, trembling all over. You, how dare you? Why wouldn't I dare? You're an orphan, your mother died early, and it was our family and the neighbors who helped you back then. So when you die, naturally it falls to me to handle your final affairs. But, didn't you know, if you were the original Sarah, then after you came back to life, all these years, whose identity have you been using? My question hit the mark, and Sarah stammered, unable to answer. Initially, she was afraid I would find her, so she changed her name. Moreover, as the illegitimate daughter of the Taylor family, if she wanted to be recognized by her family, it was only natural that the Taylor family would assist her. I don't know if this industry chain is related to the Taylor family, but it's impossible for Sarah to accomplish it alone. There must be someone behind her. Officer James found it very reasonable. That's right, I accompanied her when she went through the procedures. Kevin was so angry his face turned pale. I can prove that she is Sarah. Winnie, you don't even trust me, I sneered. It's been 18 years, people change. I don't even trust you, let alone her. Everyone heard what just happened. There are too many suspicious points. Officer James also nodded. I saw it in the live broadcast. It's indeed questionable. Live stream. Sarah froze instantly. When did you start the live stream? Someone chuckled. This is the banquet for the top scorer in the province's family. Of course they'd start a live stream for promotion. Didn't you see the officials are all here, at the main table, besides our family? There were also high-ranking government officials and Harry's business partners. Everyone saw it. They had all witnessed the scene just now, and Sarah immediately went limp. If Kevin hadn't been supporting her from behind, she would have collapsed to the ground. Only then did she realize that his earlier outburst and the missing evidence I pointed out had quickly turned her into an internet sensation. By this time, countless netizens had already flooded into the live stream. I knew it couldn't be that simple. She saw how outstanding their son was and came to snatch him away. Turns out, there was such a scheme behind it all. This woman's heart is truly venomous. She pretended to die from difficult childbirth back then. Did she think she could just abandon the child to Winnie, who's about the same age as her? She wasn't married either. How could she raise a child alone? Did she not consider that? That's not even the worst part. Especially since she never actually died, yet she never came looking for the child. She waited until her son was raised and accomplished before showing up to claim the fruits. Now that's some clever scheming. Do you think the man next to her is the child's biological father? Miss Taylor got pregnant before marriage and now wants to be a pain-free mom after giving birth. She's really something. Mr. Lee, did you know you already have a grandson out there? Mr. Lee has so many illegitimate children, let alone a grandson. He's definitely not short of them. I've never heard of a daughter like her in the Taylor family. At the Taylor Company's annual meeting, there were photos of the eldest daughter, and it wasn't her. Maybe she's an illegitimate child herself. Let's see what the police have to say when they arrive. That hospital is definitely shady. Netizens were already in an uproar, and only then did Sarah belatedly realize it. She took out her phone to take a look and instantly turned pale. Faced with Bruce before her, she simply didn't care at all. Bruce had no choice and was at a complete loss. He turned to look at me, and I patted his shoulder. It's okay, you're an adult now. Whether she acknowledges you or not, you need to live your life well. Harry extended his slender fingers and took the paternity test. Whether you acknowledge it or not, your blood relationship cannot be denied. This paternity test is the best proof. Sarah was filled with terror and shook her head. It's impossible, you're lying. She still refused to believe it. Officer James then said, since you think it's impossible, come with me and explain exactly how you managed to get all those documents issued back then. We have also sent people to follow up with the hospital. Sarah immediately broke down. At the same time, I received a message on my phone. It was an announcement that had just been officially released by the Taylor family in the provincial capital. The head of the Lee family enterprise has 2 sons and 1 daughter, all of whom are executives in the company. Sarah herself has no relation to the Taylor family and refuses any baseless accusations. Violators will be held accountable. When I saw this announcement, I laughed. Now that they want to clarify the relationships, I'm afraid it's impossible. Sarah's situation has implicated too many people. Besides the hospital, there's also the Taylor family. How did she manage to live for 18 years after her identity was revoked back then? After all she's been through, in this era of big data, there's simply no way for her to escape, not to mention the body donation and the death certificate being issued. How did she, a living person, manage to so brilliantly re-establish her identity, back then? I also confirmed with the medical university that a body donor was indeed delivered that day. So who was that body donor? There are too many suspicious points. Sarah simply can't escape unscathed. The Taylor family can't get away either. When she saw this announcement, Sarah immediately screamed, "It's impossible," and quickly took out her phone to call Mr. Lee, only to find herself blocked. She called the company again, and the person on the other end of the line said in a deep voice, "No such person exists. You should stop trying to scam people from now on, or the company's legal team won't let you off." Sarah broke down, turned to Kevin, and immediately slapped him. "It's all your fault. You're the one who gave me this idea, you beast. If it weren't for you, how could I have abandoned my child?" He was the top scholar. In his previous life, he became the top scholar. So how could he only graduate from a technical school in this life? Kevin, you've ruined me. You're the one who made me have this child, you bastard. Kevin's face was swollen red from the slap, and after he snapped back to reality, he fiercely slapped back twice. The two of them were fighting fiercely right in front of the police. I was utterly shocked to learn that the ungrateful child was actually Kevin's. It makes sense, though. Sarah and I were always inseparable. She was either with me or at home. The 3 of us grew up together and were the closest of friends. I had no idea when the 2 of them got together. After all, I knew every man she had ever met, and they were few and far between. No matter how much I pressed her back then, she never said a word. I never would have guessed that the father of the child was Kevin. Now that the truth is out, I can only shake my head. Sarah, you've made your bed, and now you must lie in it. The two were taken away by the police with bruised and swollen faces, and Bruce was also brought along for investigation. As a witness, I followed along. The child's college celebration banquet also suddenly became a hot topic because of the two of them. Hashtag top scorer in the province's background questioned, usurping another's place or hidden secrets. Hashtag, netizens also eagerly joined in the gossip. The moment to witness a miracle has arrived. How can someone actually dream of having others raise their child for them? What were they thinking? If you become the top scholar at 16 and pursue a combined bachelor's and master's degree, you'd graduate just in time for marriage. I think the top scholar's father still has a certain charm about him, but the top scholar's mother also has such great elegance. I really like this entire family. Future in-laws, booking in advance. My daughter is a sophomore in college, fair-skinned, beautiful, and smart, with 2 apartments in the capital and 3 storefronts. After marriage, she will never interfere with the young couple's life. Don't compete with me. The person upstairs, my family's conditions are much better than yours. The comments section has turned into a large-scale matchmaking scene, and many people are even calling me mother-in-law. I couldn't help but laugh helplessly. No one had expected that Sarah's incident would have such a significant impact. In addition to the hospital, medical university, and the Lee Group, the relevant hospital officials also faced consequences. The police uncovered an entire industry chain, which was truly astonishing. Even the handling of cadaver donors could be managed so easily, and a series of dark secrets behind it were all exposed. Witnessing this scene, I couldn't help but take a deep breath. Human greed knows no bounds, like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. The Taylor family must have some shady dealings after being in power for so long. In my previous life, even someone as smart as Harry was completely suppressed by the Taylors and couldn't make any progress. This shows just how deep their influence runs, but this time around, things are different. With the unprecedented popularity of live streaming and leveraging my status as the top scorer in the province, I bought some trending topics to keep this issue from being suppressed. It's been continuously gaining momentum. The higher-ups directly sent down a supervision team to conduct a special investigation, and all the relevant personnel have been punished. This incident has also drawn widespread attention from society. Some even dug up medical malpractice cases from over 20 years ago. However, I haven't paid attention to any of that. The most important thing is that both Sarah and Kevin were arrested and sentenced to 5 and 7 years respectively. 7 years later, Jack continued his studies and went abroad with his advisor. On the day I saw him off, I happened to run into Sarah being released from prison. She and Bruce were arguing by the roadside. When I saw them, I couldn't help but shake my head. Just as I was about to get in the car, Sarah spotted me and pointed, saying, "Bruce, it's all her fault that your life is ruined. You should have been the top scholar. It's because she was irresponsible and abandoned you. Go settle the score with her." So, she had been reborn too, but this time around, everything was different. Bruce, however, was too cowardly and didn't dare approach me because of the bodyguards by my side. "I'm not going." Sarah was so furious that she slapped him hard across the face. "Useless, what's the point of raising you?" These words made Bruce unable to contain his anger. He suddenly pushed her to the ground and roared, "You raised me. Have you raised me for even a single day? You only gave birth to me. You never raised me at all. I grew up in an orphanage. You don't deserve to be a mother. Don't ever come looking for me again." After saying that, Bruce ran off without looking back. Sarah, pushed by him, couldn't get up for a long time. When she saw me, her eyes were full of pleading. She opened her mouth and called out to me, "Winnie, Winnie." I was wrong. I ignored her, got in the car, and drove off. From that day on, I had nothing more to do with her. After that, I never saw Sarah again. But I saw news about her on TV. She had committed suicide. Just before dying, she grabbed Bruce and Kevin, who had already been released from prison, and put rat poison in their food. All 3 members of the family died in the rental house, and by the time they were discovered, their bodies had already begun to decompose. Seeing this, I couldn't help but sigh. In her previous life, she lived a glamorous life, so in this life, it was only right for her to experience the hardships of life. I never expected she would lack the courage to face it and ended up dying like this. She got off easy. Harry hugged me from behind and discussed with me about going abroad together to see our son. I laughed at him. "Can't bear to be apart so soon." "Not at all. It's mainly because I want to travel the world with you. The child is grown up, so let him be." our time for just the two of us should continue. I agreed and went abroad with Harry to start our global tour. The regrets of my past life can now be made up for, my life will be a smooth and unobstructed path. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. Late at night, there was a knock at the door. Molly, open the door quickly. My dad is having a seizure. You need to take him to the hospital. My husband rubbed his eyes and got ready to get up and open the door. I grabbed him and held him back. Shoo, don't speak. In my past life, my husband and I kindly opened the door to take his father to the hospital. Because of that single act, our family was destroyed. My husband rubbed his sleepy eyes. What's wrong with my wife? His father is critically ill, and his family doesn't have a car. We should go give them a ride. I sneered. If it's really an emergency, why not just call 120? Don't turn on the light, don't speak, pretend no one is home. My husband was puzzled, but he still listened to me. He scratched his head and went back to sleep. Molly, if something happens to his father because of the delayed medical treatment, will you feel guilty? I shook my head, concealing the hatred in my eyes. Guilt? Never. They kept knocking outside for a long time, still not letting up. They kept calling our phones one after the other. Fortunately, I had already set my phone to silent. My husband also started to feel that something was off. It's strange. If no one answers after knocking twice, why keep knocking? His father is critically ill, and he's not in a hurry to find a car, but instead keeps knocking on the door. Yeah, they've been knocking outside for almost 10 minutes now. I tiptoed to the door and listened to the commotion outside. Damn it, no one's home at his place. What do we do now? The speaker spat on the ground. Did you find anyone over there? No. The person outside took a deep breath. Damn it. Can't find anyone at this critical moment. Call 120 quickly. We can't let the old man die now. The voices of the two people grew farther away. I breathed a sigh of relief and met my husband's shocked eyes. They want to. I nodded with a serious expression. You're right. Before going to bed, my husband kept chattering on and on. How can they be like this? How could they do this? We've been neighbors for so many years, and our relationship has always been so good. How could they want to harm us? I covered my husband's mouth. Stop talking, go to sleep quickly. In my previous life, my husband and I opened the door immediately. We helped them load the old man, who still had a breath of life left, into the car. They kept urging us from the back seat to drive faster. After running the second red light, I got into a car accident. I scraped the car next to me. Fortunately, it was just a minor collision, nothing serious. But it was this collision that caused trouble. By the time we got to the hospital, the old man had already stopped breathing. The neighbor's older brother and sister immediately changed their tune. At the hospital, they cried and screamed, calling us murderers. They said we caused the car accident that killed their father. Because of the collision, his father hit the back of his head on the chair and died. There was indeed a wound on the back of his head. Before we could say anything, the driver of the car jumped out and pointed at us. I can testify, they saw my car and deliberately accelerated to crash into it. To know the patient was in the car and still do this on purpose, it's truly malicious. Unfortunately, there were no surveillance cameras on that stretch of road. Since the person died in our car, we had no choice but to accept the loss, so we paid the compensation as they demanded. But they were still not satisfied. They took his father's medical report and protested with banners at both of our workplaces. They claimed his father had already started to improve. If it weren't for us, he wouldn't have died at all. His father was the spiritual pillar of his entire family. Now the family is in disarray, with the child crying and refusing to go to school. We have destroyed his entire family. We are heinous murderers. They are forcing us to continue paying for their family's living expenses and child support. They are like a bottomless black hole that sucks blood. After paying for this, there will be another. We are even responsible for all the expenses until the child reaches adulthood. Whenever my husband and I show any sign of reluctance, they resort to crying, making a scene, and threatening self-harm. They never give us a moment's peace. They won't even spare us until they've squeezed out the last of our savings. One day, they got me and my husband drunk, stole our IDs, and took out online loans in our names. The money went into their pockets, and we were left with huge debts. I will never forget how Leo was watching the show when the debt collectors came to our door. He was munching on melon seeds and cheering them on. These two are shameless murderers. Hit them hard. It would be best if they were beaten to death. You are eliminating a scourge for the people, by the way. Don't beat the woman to death. she has a nice figure, we could have some fun with her, don't forget to call me when you're having fun. My husband and I were beaten to death just like that. Even after death, they wouldn't let us rest. They went live to cyberbully us and incited netizens to dig up our graves. Fortunately, heaven has eyes, allowing me to return to the day I fell into hell. The next day, I went out to work. As I walked to the entrance of the residential area, I ran into Leo and his wife. Leo glared at us fiercely. Were you guys out stealing chickens last night? We knocked on the door for ages and no one answered. Her husband chuckled. We had a dinner party last night and got back late. Leo, did you need something? Leo's wife Wendy snorted coldly. My dad had an attack last night and had to be sent to the hospital. Molly, do you even know that because of you, my dad almost didn't make it? My husband Simon still wanted to explain something. I stepped in front of him, looking at Wendy with a half smile. Wendy, I don't understand what you're saying. What does your father's illness have to do with us? Wendy got worked up, placing her hands on her hips. What do you mean? What does it have to do with us? You delayed my father's trip to the hospital. We've been neighbors for years, and you didn't even answer our calls. Who else should we blame if not you? I curled my lips and sneered. The threshold for being a neighbor is so high now. If I didn't know better, I'd think I signed a 24-hour care agreement. You have time to call us, but no time to call 120. You, Wendy didn't expect me, who's always been good-tempered, to speak to her like that, pointing at me and yelling. Clearly it's your family's fault. Not only do you refuse to apologize, but you actually dare to talk to me like this. All these years of neighborly friendship have really gone to the dogs. Thank goodness my dad is okay, otherwise I wouldn't let your family off. Leo spat to the side. Fine, if you refuse to take responsibility and show no regard for our relationship, then don't blame us for what happens next. I feigned surprise and took half a step back. Leo, are you threatening me? I'm a timid person and can't handle being scared. If I get frightened into having some kind of problem, can you take responsibility for it? Leo stared at me expressionlessly. He coldly spat out a sentence. Just wait and see. Leo's father is not dead. Recalling all the events from my past life, a terrible suspicion began to form in my heart. I shared my suspicion with my husband. He has the same idea as me. A few days later, his father was discharged from the hospital. Wendy called me as soon as possible, smiling. He had completely lost the fierce expression he had a few days ago. Molly, what are you doing right now? Are you free? Seeing that I didn't speak, she smiled and continued. My dad has been discharged from the hospital. Can you come pick him up? You know I don't have a car, and he's a patient who can't walk back. We're all neighbors, so help me out. I'll buy you a few boxes of fruit later. I chuckled lightly and replied casually, I wouldn't dare accept your fruit. Just a few days ago you were saying you weren't done with me, and now we're good neighbors. That's it, I'm busy, not taking it. Before she could speak, I hung up the phone directly. The thought of her stomping her feet on the other end of the line made me want to laugh. Not long after, she asked for help in the residents' group chat. Is there any available neighbor who can come pick up my elderly father? Molly doesn't want to come pick us up. It's inconvenient for a woman like me to bring an elderly person along. I couldn't help but laugh. You have time to ask for help in the group chat, but no time to take a taxi. You just want to save those few dozen bucks on taxi fare, don't you? A neighbor quickly responded. Oh my God, poor Wendy. Sick elderly people are indeed difficult to care for. I remember you used to be very good to Molly's family. She actually didn't come to pick you up. The one speaking was our downstairs neighbor. She is a housewife named Lisa. I don't know why she always has a problem with me, even though we've barely spoken. Not content with that, she even tagged me in the group chat. Molly, you should have a conscience. I often see Wendy sending fruits and carrying things to your house. You're not even willing to help with such a small favor. Everyone knows your family isn't short of money, and you have a car. Why don't you go pick up Wendy? Seeing someone speak up, neighbors in the group also started chiming in. You can't say that. Molly is usually very helpful too. Can't she have something inconvenient? That's right. There are many cars near the hospital. Just take a taxi back. Some spoke up for me, while others joined Lisa in accusing me of being heartless. Take a taxi? How do you take a taxi with a sick elderly person? It's definitely better if you can drive there. I mean, I've seen Wendy's father. He's in a wheelchair now. How easy is it for him to get a taxi? As they spoke, they ended up arguing directly. No one remembers the help Wendy offered in the first place. She was getting a bit anxious. Stop arguing. Stop arguing. It's all my fault for bringing up this topic. Is there anyone who can come pick me up? The group chat fell silent. Seeing the timing was about right, I mentioned Lisa in the group chat. sorry, I was busy at work and just saw the message. I remember you also have a car at home. Since you're so kind, you'll definitely pick up Wendy, right? Lisa struggled to get a word out for a long time. I still need to cook for my son at home. Wendy should just take a taxi. Oh. Now you know to call a taxi. Didn't you just say taking a taxi was inconvenient? I quoted her words and asked, didn't you say this? Her father has difficulty walking, and you actually told her to take a taxi. What are your intentions? It seems that some of those who accuse me are just putting on a show. The neighbors also started accusing Lisa of being hypocritical and putting on an act. They don't want to take it on themselves but force others to do it. Lisa was so anxious she was hopping mad. Mention Wendy in the group chat. Wendy, I'm on my way now. Send me the specific location. I'm not like some people who only talk the talk. Wendy expressed her heartfelt gratitude in the group chat. It was as if he were their family's savior. An hour later, the two arrived home. Wendy took a photo and sent it in the group chat. It was a photo of her, Lisa, and her father. Lisa is holding fruit in her hand, and there are several boxes of milk on the ground. Her face was smiling so much that wrinkles appeared. Lisa is really a good person, indeed different from some people. Wendy will need your help a lot in the future. It's good for your child to drink more milk while growing, Lisa replied instantly. Doing good deeds really lifts the spirits. Wendy, just let me know if you need anything in the future, if I can help. I definitely will. I laughed out loud while looking at my phone. Now Wendy has finally found a sucker to take advantage of. Ever since Lisa helped out that day, Wendy has been constantly bothering Lisa for no reason. Whenever she needs something, she tags Lisa in the group chat instead of sending a private message. Lisa had no choice but to help out of consideration for Face. She replied to Wendy in the group chat. She told Wendy to message her privately if she had anything to discuss, and not to occupy public resources in the group chat. Wendy agreed readily, but it went in one ear and out the other. The second time, I still looked for Lisa in the group chat. Oh, Lisa, you know how it is when you get older. I just can't remember things. I pinned the residents group chat, so it's easier to find you. You don't find Wendy annoying, do you? The key point is that Wendy always posts photos of Lisa helping her in the group chat. The neighbors showered her with praise. This left Lisa with no opportunity to vent her anger. One day after work, while passing by Lisa's house, I overheard her complaining to a friend on the phone. She was asking her friend how to get rid of Wendy's harassment. Before I even hung up the phone, I saw Wendy coming downstairs again, carrying some fruit. When she saw me, she rolled her eyes at me, then she immediately put on a smile. Lisa, come here. Sister Wendy brought you some fruit. These are all grown back in my hometown, clean, hygienic, and additive-free. I continued on my way home, the voices coming in and out. By the way, we have something to do tomorrow. Can you help look after the old man? Oh, it's no trouble, just change his diapers every hour or so. Lisa desperately refused, but Wendy acted as if she didn't hear. Sure enough, a group message popped up again. Wendy took a photo of Lisa and her elderly father. Lisa is such a good person, helping me take care of the old man tomorrow. Such a kind person is truly a role model for humanity. If anyone in the neighborhood dares to bully Lisa, I'll be the first to disagree. Neighbors in the group all gave a thumbs up. Lisa is really not an ordinary person. I remember her father needed his diaper changed. Oh my, Lisa is so selfless. I definitely couldn't do that. Just opening the door, Wendy came up. She rolled her eyes at me again and snorted coldly. Don't be jealous when you see me praising Lisa. She's just kinder and prettier than you. She looked me up and down twice. No wonder you haven't had a child after years of marriage. You're so vicious you can't even conceive. Seeing that I remained silent, she turned her head and glanced at me. Cat got your tongue, regretting it now. If you want to repent, it's not impossible. Tomorrow, help Lisa take care of my father-in-law. The response to her was the sound of my door closing and a single sentence. You're out of your mind, you idiot. Wendy was furious and cursed outside the door for 10 minutes. The next day was Saturday. Wendy and Leo's family took their grandson out for a trip. They left the mess for Lisa. Lisa's husband got annoyed and went out to play cards. Her son also went to cram school, so she was the only one left at home. From time to time, we could hear her furious roars from downstairs. Did you shit again? Are you out of your mind? I just changed it for you. Are you even human? Can't you hold in your piss and shit? Poor old man, he couldn't even speak clearly. He could only stammer an apology with a thick tongue. My husband and I shook our heads, put on our headphones, and started watching a show. I didn't expect Lisa to show up at my door before long. she rubbed her hands together and pushed the old man toward our door. She smiled and looked at my husband. Brother Simon, could you take care of him for a bit? As a woman, I really can't handle taking care of him. I shrugged my shoulders. We can't take him either. You should find whoever the old man belongs to. Lisa doesn't even glance at me. She only stares at my husband. Simon, please help out. Just let Molly watch him for the afternoon. Just push it to my place tonight. She clasped her hands together, her voice pleading. Brother Simon, sorry to trouble you. Simon rolled his eyes at her and spat out a few words. Lisa's smile froze. Before she could respond, I grabbed the door and prepared to close it. Lisa suddenly reached out and blocked the way. Her eyes were red, as if about to shoot out flames. Molly, is that really necessary? You've taken care of it before, so who are you putting on this act for? This was your responsibility to begin with, and now you're still not satisfied after I've been doing it for most of the day. I laughed in disbelief, wondering what kind of blessed place I was living in. My neighbors are each more bizarre than the last. This building is crazier than ever. I pushed her away and slammed the door shut with a bang, but I never expected Lisa to be so shameless. They just left that old man right at my doorstep. At first, my husband and I didn't notice. Later, we heard noises outside the door and came out to check. Good grief, the old man had pooped again. His pants were completely soaked. He slurred his words, calling for someone to change his diaper. His eyes were filled with tears. No, unfilial, even my own father doesn't care. I asked in detail what had happened at home. He shook his head again and refused to say anything. Feeling helpless, I directly pushed the old man to Wendy's doorstep. I called the property management. The property management quickly came upstairs, sent a message in the group chat, and tagged Wendy. Your elderly family member is at the door. Is no one home? You're not even taking care of the elderly. Wendy replied very quickly this time, playing the victim in the group again. Shifting the blame onto Lisa, confronting her about why she left her father-in-law at the doorstep. She clearly promised yesterday to take care of him for the day. Lisa rambled on about all sorts of irrelevant things, frantically tagging me in the group chat. What do you mean, Molly? Didn't I ask you to look after it for me? Why did you push it all the way to Wendy's doorstep? Now Wendy has misunderstood me because of this. I replied with a smile. I said I had something to do. Didn't I agree to it? Who knew you'd be so irresponsible, just leaving the elderly in the hallway without a care? The group chat exploded again. The neighbors all started blaming Wendy and Lisa. The property management said they took the elderly person to the property center. Tell Wendy to come back quickly and take them home. 2 hours later, Wendy and her family slowly returned. Of course, they didn't go to the property center. Instead, they went to Lisa's house. Lisa brought the person back from the property management center again. This time, she was unwilling to return the old man to Wendy. Wendy, everything should be based on reason. You said hiring a caregiver costs $1,000 a day. My wife taking care of him for a day and asking for $500 isn't too much. Is it? The speaker is Bob, Lisa's husband. He demanded that Wendy pay before returning the elderly man. Wendy and the others refused to agree. With hands on hips, she yelled angrily, "Bullshit, all the things I brought to your house, weren't they worth money? Besides, my father's pants were covered in piss and shit. How did you take care of him? You even left him at the door in the afternoon and ignored him. How dare you still ask for money? You're really pushing your luck." A crowd of neighbors gathered around, watching the drama unfold. Bob spat on the ground indifferently. Anyway, it's true that my wife took care of your father all morning. You must pay 500 yuan, otherwise, just wait for your old man to keep wetting his pants. A neighbor came out and said Bob was going too far. Some also felt Wendy should pay the money. Bob leaned against the doorframe like a local thug. Wendy and Leo exchanged a glance and smiled. They were worried about not having a place to deal with this hot potato, and just like that, someone took it over. Wendy wiped away non-existent tears and said with a sob, "Everyone knows our family is struggling. Do you really have to be so aggressive? 500, that's our family's living expenses for a whole month. Everyone, be the judge. If you don't return my father to me, there's nothing I can do. Then let him stay at your place for now. After all, I trust Lisa's character." After saying this, it seemed like he was afraid Bob would change his mind. He pulled Leo and left. Leo even turned back to make a threatening remark. "Everyone knows my dad is sick. If anything happens, Bob still hadn't realized the severity of the situation, thinking that by leaving the old man unattended for the night, Wendy would end up crying and paying the money. They also made harsh threats. "Fine, if you don't pay, just wait for the old man to be covered in his own filth." The neighbor was about to warn them, the door slammed shut, everyone shook their heads and dispersed. In the middle of the night, I was sleeping soundly when I heard crying outside the door again. I looked through the peephole. The old man has pushed himself back to Wendy's doorstep again. He was sobbing and sniffling pitifully. His voice was intermittent, filled with pain, begging the two of them to open the door for him. Son, daughter-in-law, please open the door. Dad's pants have already started to smell. Dad, I won't cause you any trouble. Can we use my pension to hire a caregiver? My heart ached with sorrow. We all have fathers. Aren't you afraid of karma for treating your own father like this? The old man made quite a commotion. We all heard it. Wendy couldn't possibly not have heard. She just didn't want to open the door. The weather is gradually getting hotter. The pants soiled with urine and feces were still on him, not to mention the smell. Several flies had already landed nearby, buzzing incessantly. After crying for a long time, still no one came to open the door. The old man began to wail, Dad's fault, Dad will die, Dad will die, I won't cause you any more trouble. He wanted to move, but could only weakly pound his legs. I can probably guess what Wendy and Leo is thinking. They want to pretend they don't know the old man has already returned. If something happens tonight, that would be even better. By morning, they can take the opportunity to extort Lisa and Bob. After all, everyone saw that it was Bob who wanted to keep the person detained at home. I sneered coldly, took out my phone, and anonymously called the police. The police arrived within just over 10 minutes. After only a few knocks, the door opened. It must be said, the couple's acting skills were quite impressive, with sleepy eyes, a face full of shock and heartache. Ignoring the feces and urine on her pants, Wendy threw herself onto the old man. Weeping bitterly, Dad, who was so cruel as to leave you outside the door, they have no shame. Why didn't you call for us when you were at the door? My dad, oh my dad, seeing you like this just breaks my heart. Leo chimed in, echoing the sentiment. The old man looked numb, forced a few laughs, and then fell silent. The police officer grew angry, seeing right through their insincere act. They were criticized and educated. They were warned that if they abandoned the elderly again, they would be detained. After the police left, the two of them were furious. They slammed the door hard and made a huge commotion inside, cursing about who knows what. They're probably discussing how to deal with Lisa and her husband. The old man fell silent too. Early the next morning, Wendy went to Lisa's house to cause trouble. I glanced at Wendy's house as I passed by. His old man sat on the balcony, lost in thought. His figure looked desolate. The pants stained with feces and urine were never changed. Wendy demanded that Lisa's family pay compensation. Throwing your own old man out the door in the middle of the night, it's downright beastly behavior. Lisa stood with her arms crossed, smirking. Wendy, have you no shame? You don't answer calls, you don't reply to messages, now you're turning around and biting me. Open your damn eyes and see. Didn't I say I left your old man at the door? Not only that, but Lisa also sent a message in the property management group chat. Wendy just pretended not to see it. She burst into tears, saying they were old and went to bed early. Who would have known they would bring the elderly over in the middle of the night? If the police hadn't come yesterday, our own father would have had to sleep outside for the night. He was already in poor health and sick. If something had happened, they would have blamed themselves for the rest of their lives. Lisa and Bob couldn't win the argument against the two of them. He directly closed the door, warned them that if they came to cause trouble again, he would call the police. Wendy didn't gain any advantage here and went back angrily. Now, the two families have completely fallen out. Wendy has to start looking for someone else again, but everyone in the community is shrewd, and this incident has caused such a big stir. Who would dare to get close to someone like Wendy? So the two of them set their sights on our family. That day when I got home, I saw Wendy waiting at my doorstep, pushing her father in his wheelchair. She had finally changed out of those clothes. He just looked listless, completely devoid of energy. Molly, we have something to do tonight. Could we leave Grandpa at your place for the night? Don't worry, it's not too difficult. Just change his diaper once in the middle of the night. As she spoke, she stuffed a pack of diapers into my hands. Here, I've got everything ready. No need for you to go buy anything. Take these fruits. They're grown in our hometown, completely natural. I interrupted her, raising an eyebrow. Wendy, have you lost your mind? Do you really think I'd help you? I threw the diaper into her arms and turned to go back inside, unexpectedly. Wendy knelt right in front of me. She was crying her eyes out. Molly, you're the kindest person in the neighborhood. I really have no choice. My father's health is so poor. How could we leave him alone at home? She kowtowed, banging her head loudly. a circle of neighbors had gathered around again. Everyone praised Wendy for being a good daughter-in-law, for her father-in-law. She even knelt down to the neighbors. Some people also saw through Wendy's performance. They mocked her, saying it's a shame she didn't win an Oscar for acting so well. I can see it now. Wendy is trying to guilt-trip me, but am I the kind of person who would fall for that? I went straight back to my room and locked the door. When I got home, I started to think, Wendy won't let our family off the hook as an easy target. If they don't succeed this time, there will be a next time, until they achieve their goal. Our family cannot remain passive forever. We need to fight back, outside the peephole. Wendy failed to achieve her goal. She angrily pushed the old man back home. Another big argument broke out in the room. In the evening, when my husband came home, I discussed this matter with him. He felt the same way I did. We need to fight back and not let Wendy lead us by the nose. After that day, Wendy became much quieter. They also seemed to have started a new plan. Wendy once again became the good daughter-in-law in the neighbors' eyes. Every day, she would push the old man downstairs for a walk in some sun, massaging the elderly man and kneading his feet in front of the neighbors downstairs. In any case, every act that could showcase her kindness was guaranteed to be seen by someone. Thanks to her meticulous care, the elderly man's mental state improved significantly. She would praise the elderly man to everyone she met. Hey, my father-in-law is really in good health. He recovered from such a serious illness, the neighbors would say. That's because you took such good care of him, even better than a biological daughter. Having a daughter-in-law like you is a blessing the old man must have accumulated over several lifetimes. A month later, the old man was actually able to stand up from his wheelchair, although he could only stand for a brief 1 or 2 minutes. A month and a half later, the old man was able to take a few steps with Wendy's support. Wendy shared updates about her father's health condition in the group chat every day. He can eat by himself now, and he can use the toilet on his own. He can speak clearly now. Everyone says that old man Wendy will be able to go downstairs to enjoy the sunshine on his own in less than 6 months. Another half-month passed, and Wendy posted the old man's medical report in the group chat. Thank you for everyone's concern. My father-in-law's health has improved quite a bit. The doctor said as long as he doesn't suffer any mental stimulation or head impacts, his condition won't worsen and will continue to improve. If it weren't for the neighbors' care, I wouldn't have been able to handle things so well. It's really thanks to everyone. My husband and I exchanged a smile. Wendy has laid so much groundwork. She must be about to start her plan. Sure enough, 3 nights later, Wendy knocked on my door again. Molly, Simon, open the door quickly. My father is having a relapse. You have a car. Help me get to the hospital. My husband and I nodded. Slowly, I opened the door. Leo's face was flushed red, and tears filled the corners of her eyes. Wendy grabbed my sleeve and knelt on the ground. Molly, I'm begging you, no matter what grudges we had in the past, could you please take my father-in-law to the hospital? I'm pleading with you. I lost my father when I was young, and my father-in-law is like my own father. I can't bear to lose another father. Leo was also wiping tears beside him. We are all neighbors. The old man is in danger. You can't just stand by and watch him die, can you? I glanced at the old man behind me. He seemed to have already lost consciousness. I stepped forward to check the pulse and breathing. Still breathing, not dead. Didn't the old man recover earlier? Why did he faint again? Did you let something upset him? The expressions of the two froze for a moment, flickering with unease. No, not at all. We have no idea what happened either. We were trying to wake him up to use the bathroom, but he wouldn't wake up no matter how much we called. That's why we need to go to the hospital. Husband Simon clapped his hands and said loudly, "Ouch, did you hit your head? You said the head shouldn't be stimulated." Wendy quickly waved her hands. No, there's no way we could have hurt his head. My husband took the opportunity to check the old man's head. There were indeed no visible wounds. Feeling relieved, we immediately decided to take the old man to the hospital. Wendy sent a message in the property group chat. The old man suddenly fell ill. Not sure what happened. Luckily there was Molly's kind family, otherwise I really wouldn't know what to do. The attached picture shows the old man sitting in our family car. When I got in the car, the old man was already somewhat conscious. He was mumbling something incoherently. I took a deep breath and got into the passenger seat. My palms were a bit sweaty, just like in my previous life. Leo and his wife were frantically urging my husband to drive faster. I held my husband's arm, signaling him to stay calm. This time, we didn't run the red light like we did last time. Wendy cursed from behind. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to kill my old man? There are no cars now. Why aren't you running the red light? Wendy, even though there are few cars late at night. They drive very fast. For your father's safety, we really can't run the red light. What if we hit another car? What would we do then? No matter what Wendy said afterward, we continued driving at normal speed. We absolutely will not run red lights. The two of them were visibly anxious. I observed the old man's condition through the rearview mirror. He was still relatively alert. Soon, the car arrived at the place where the accident had occurred in my previous life. Sure enough, there was still a black car driving slowly ahead without its headlights on. At that moment, Wendy and Leo started urging again, "Hurry up, drive faster, the old man is not going to make it." Seeing that we didn't respond, Wendy actually came over to grab the steering wheel. The black car also cooperated perfectly, suddenly accelerating and moving closer to us as we approached. Under the interference of the two individuals, our car successfully crashed into the black car. Wendy exclaimed in surprise. Leo roared angrily, "How are you driving? There's a patient in the car." "Oh no, my dad's head is bleeding. Hurry, take him to the hospital quickly." People from the black car rushed out and started banging hard on our windows. "Hey, open the door. You hit someone and still won't get out." "None of my business. If you don't open the door, we'll call the police." At that moment, Wendy stuck her head out. "Sorry, sir, we have a sick person in the car. Can we go to the hospital first and talk about it later? You can follow us to the hospital. We definitely won't run away." The unlicensed taxi driver nodded impatiently. "All right, let's go to the hospital. I'm telling you, if you try to run, I'll call the police immediately." He seemed very understanding. Their conversation was exactly the same as in their previous life. My husband and I sneered, then started the car and drove to the hospital. By the time we got to the hospital, the old man was already beyond help. The back of his head was covered in blood. The nurse quickly rushed him into the emergency room. My husband and I watched coldly as the couple pretended to cry. I felt like laughing out loud. Wendy cried and accused us of causing her father's death. Although she was crying, the corners of her mouth were slightly upturned. "Can't stop laughing now. The light in the emergency room is still on." The couple started working together, one talking after the other. They pinned us down as murderers. The unlicensed taxi driver was holding a cigarette in his mouth. "You did that on purpose, didn't you? You saw my car in front and still accelerated. What kind of grudge do you two have against each other? How could you be so vicious?" My husband didn't say a word and immediately took out his phone to call the police. Coincidentally, the rescue efforts ended just as the police arrived. The light in the emergency room went out. The couple supported each other as they knelt on the ground, weeping bitterly. Anyone who witnessed this scene couldn't help but shed a few tears. The nurse came out and was shocked. She quickly helped the two of them up. "What happened to you?" Wendy was about to collapse, completely exhausted. "My dad is gone. What do you think is wrong with me? I wish I could die with him." The nurse froze, furrowing her brow. "Who said he died?" "We managed to save the old man." Now it was the couple's turn to be shocked. He didn't die," the nurse said impatiently. "What do you mean by this?" "We managed to save him from the brink of death, and you're still not satisfied?" Wendy stammered. No, we were just too shocked to react." She shot Leo a fierce glare in private. The nurse told Wendy that her father's condition was somewhat serious, as he had suffered a severe blow to the head. He has already been sent to the ICU. Once he recovers a bit, he will be transferred to a regular ward. He repeatedly emphasized not to let the elderly get agitated again. She looked at us. "Fortunately, my father was saved, but because of you, his condition worsened, so you should also cover the medical expenses. If you hadn't insisted on crashing into that black car, my father definitely wouldn't have needed emergency treatment." "Exactly, didn't you hear what the doctor said? He suffered a severe blow to the head. It's all because of you. We just have a bit of a neighborhood dispute. Is it really necessary to kill my father over it?" He even tugged on the police officer's sleeve, demanding that they take his side. This must be a premeditated and planned murder, just like in the previous life. The black car driver also came forward to accuse us. "Yes, officer. I can testify that they deliberately accelerated and crashed into my car as soon as they saw it. They did this even though there was a patient in the car." Utterly vicious. Fortunately, the patient was tough and managed to survive. After the few people finished speaking, I spoke without any expression on my face. "Is that so? Clearly, you are the murderers. Officer, let me show you something." I took out my phone and opened the app. "Play the video." The video clearly shows the scene. Leo, holding a stone in his hand, took advantage of Wendy grabbing the steering wheel and smashed it heavily on the old man's back of the head. "That's right, We had already installed a camera in the car, just waiting for this day. In the video, the old man saw Leo take out the stone. A flicker of grief passed through his eyes, but it turned back to numbness within 2 seconds. I closed the video and opened another one. This is the dashcam video. It's also clearly visible that our vehicle was driving normally. That black car deliberately hit us. Leo's face instantly turned pale, and he pursed his lips. Wendy, pale as a ghost, rushed over and tried to snatch the phone. Officer, this must be fake, a doctored video. That's my father-in-law. How could my husband possibly kill his own father? You wouldn't actually side with these two murderers, would you? Everyone knows we have conflicts. They are deliberately retaliating. She was speaking incoherently and had already started saying whatever came to mind. The police officer's face was so dark it seemed like water could drip from it. The truth and falsehood were already clearly evident. The unlicensed taxi driver saw that the situation was turning bad, trying to sneak away. I hadn't even taken 2 steps before the police pinned me to the ground. I sneered, looking down at the 3 of them from above. Save your words for the judge. 3 people were taken away by the police for detention. My husband and I went to give our statements. They asked us why we installed a camera in the car. I only said that we had conflicts with them and installed it because I was afraid they would scratch my car. The police investigated 2 videos. No signs of editing were found. 3 people were charged with murder. After investigation, the black car driver was found to be part of their group. He is Leo's distant cousin. They promised to give him a share of the money after the job was done. Before being caught, the 2 of them still refused to admit it. The police called and notified the old man's other 2 daughters. I can't believe no one is picking up. Finally got through. The eldest daughter only left 1 sentence. They had long severed their father-daughter relationship with the old man. Life and death had nothing to do with her, anyway. They paid the alimony every month as required by law, then hung up the phone. A week later, the old man woke up in the hospital, hearing that her precious son had been arrested. She immediately changed her attitude. She couldn't even speak clearly and started blaming me and my husband. She claimed it was me and my husband who did it, and that it had nothing to do with her precious son. It was because we were in a car accident that he was severely injured, until the police showed him the video. He finally shut up, trembling. He pointed at us. Yes, it was the 2 of them who made my son do it. It has nothing to do with me, nothing to do with my son. Now I finally understand why both daughters refused to acknowledge him. Later, it became clear that attempted murder was a foregone conclusion. He shouted out the letter of understanding again, forgiving his son and daughter-in-law. His hands were shaking so much that he couldn't write, so the lawyer helped him draft the letter of understanding. Because of the letter of understanding, the 2 were sentenced to 3 years in prison. My husband and I moved. I haven't heard any news from his family in a long time, until 3 years later. My husband told me that the 2 of them were released from prison. The first thing they did after getting out was to bring the old man home and beat him up. He said that the neighbors could hear the old man wailing late at night. A year later, the 2 of them repeated the same trick. This time, the old man died. But because of their prior records, the police quickly investigated the 2 of them. The 2 were arrested again. The circumstances were severe, and they were repeat offenders. The criminal methods were cruel, the circumstances were heinous, and the social impact was extremely negative. The 2 were sentenced to death. On the day of their execution, the sun was shining brightly. It was a fine day. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.